Do not negotiate who you are. There comes a moment in all our lives when we feel the pressure to bend, to soften the edges of who we are, to be a little quieter, a little more agreeable, a little more palatable. It can be subtle. The way we hold back in meetings, the way we laugh at a joke we don't find funny, the way we say "wise" when our whole body is screaming no, and slowly, piece by piece, we chip away at ourselves, not in one big decision, but in tiny negotiations, little compromises that seem harmless, until one day we wake up and wonder, where did I go? This talk is for anyone who has ever felt the weight of becoming a version of themselves that others find easier to accept. This is your reminder: do not negotiate who you are. You were not born to be filtered, edited, or shrink-wrapped for someone else's comfort. You were born to take up space, fully, unapologetically, and courageously. Let's talk about how to reclaim that space again. Point 1: you are not a product. Stop selling yourself for approval. Let's start here. You are not a brand. You are a human being. And yet, so many of us go through life marketing ourselves, adjusting our personalities like ad campaigns to fit the expectations of bosses, families, friends, even strangers on social media. This happens early. Maybe as a child, you learned that being easy made you lovable, that being perfect earned praise, that having opinions made you difficult. So you learned to edit yourself for applause. But approval is not the same as love. Validation is not the same as belonging. You don't have to be in constant performance mode to deserve connection. Real belonging starts when you stop performing and start showing up as yourself. Messy, complex, and beautifully unfinished. A real-life example: a woman I once coached was wildly successful in her career but deeply burnt out. Why? Because she was managing a version of herself 24/7. "I don't think anyone actually knows me," she said through tears. "They just know the version of me I thought they wanted." As she had spent her life selling a polished version of herself. But underneath, she felt invisible. Her healing began the moment she stopped selling and started sharing. Point 2. Your boundaries are not walls. They're doors with locks. Many of us mistake being nice with being boundaryless. We say yes when we mean no. We absorb the discomfort of others to keep the peace. We allow people to disrespect because we don't want to seem mean. But let me be clear, you can be kind and still have boundaries. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about protecting your core, your values, your energy, your soul. And when you don't protect your identity, other people start defining it for you. A real-life story: a single mother named Farah shared how, for years, she had said yes to everything. Overtime at work, volunteering at school, helping everyone else. She wanted to be the hero, but she was drowning. She finally decided to put up a boundary. "I will no longer say yes at the expense of my health." She expected backlash, and yes, some people didn't like the change. But the people who truly loved her, they didn't walk away, they adjusted. Boundaries reveal who belongs in your life. Point 3. Shame is the most dangerous negotiation table you'll ever sit at. Shame says, you're not enough, you're too much, you don't belong. And when shame walks in, we often negotiate our worth just to be invited to stay in the room. Here's the truth: shame is a liar, but it speaks with authority. We experience shame in relationships, in body image, in parenting, in failure. And to silence it, we often trade pieces of who we are, thinking if we just change enough, we'll be worthy. But the cure for shame isn't perfection, it's connection. Shame cannot survive empathy. A real-life data in a longitudinal study on shame and resilience. Researchers found that people who bounced back from shame-inducing experiences all had one thing in common: they reached out. They told someone. They didn't hide. Speaking your shame strips it of its power, so don't make deals with shame. Don't offer up your identity for a seat at the table. Stand, instead, in your wholeness, scars and all. Point 4. Authenticity will cost you, but it's cheaper than self-betrayal. Let's be honest. Being your full, unedited self comes with a price. You might lose some relationships, you might disappoint people, you might be misunderstood, but the cost of not being yourself, that's soul bankruptcy. You'll feel it in the pit of your stomach. You'll feel it in the quiet moments when no one is watching. That H that says, "This isn't me." A powerful metaphor: think of a tree. The taller it grows, the deeper its roots must go. Otherwise, it falls. Authenticity is your root system. If you want to grow, to reach high, to be strong in the storm, you must be grounded in who you truly are. Betraying yourself for comfort is not safety. It's silent suffering. Point 5. Who you are is not up for debate. Even when the world disagrees, your worth isn't on trial. Your identity isn't a debate. There will always be people who question, criticize, or reject you. But that says more about their lens than your value. Do not let people who refuse to understand you become the editors of your life. A true story. A young man named Rafik shared his story of growing up in a conservative household, knowing from a young age that he was gay. For years, he tried to change himself, praying, hiding, performing, but the shame was eating him alive. He finally came out in his late 20s and lost relationships. But what he gained, his own truth, was priceless. He said, "For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm breathing with both lungs." The world may not always celebrate who you are, but when you stop negotiating your identity, you become free. Mukansiu sanati lts de dwhwalen. So here's my call to you: stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. Stop shrinking your voice to keep the peace. Stop editing your soul to be accepted. You are not a draft to be revised. You are a final version, worthy of love, respect, and belonging. As you are. It's brave to show up fully. It's brave to say, "This is me." But the world doesn't need more edited people. It needs more whole ones. Do not negotiate who you are, not for love, not for approval, not for comfort, not even for survival. Be who you are, and let that be enough, because it already is.